Alright, this last question on the tangent and cotangent practice is a cotangent function. So we're going to start by doing pi divided by the b value. Alright, in this case, b is pi over 4. So pi over 1 divided by pi over 4 will give us a 4 pi in the numerator, a pi in the denominator, and then luckily those cancel out and our period is just 4. The reason why I say luckily is because this makes labeling the x-axis super easy. The fourth tick mark is 4, so each tick mark is only worth 1. Okay. Vertical displacement, let's look. There's no number here, so nope. Reflection, no negatives here, so no reflection. And then phase shift, there's nothing added or subtracted here, so there's none of those. So let's get our graph drawn and then we'll come back and do domain and range. Now for cotangent, again, you have to remember that cotangent's very first asymptote is on the y-axis. And then its first positive asymptote is going to occur at whatever the period of the function is. So that's going to be at 4. And then it's going to occur every period after that. So there's going to be an asymptote at 8. And then in the other direction at -4 and at -8. Okay. And then for the dots for cotangent, normally they look like this. Okay. And they're going to remain in that downward trend because there's no reflection here. However, instead of being spaced up 1 and down 1, like I just drew there, that 2 is going to vertically stretch it, which is going to multiply the distance these points are away from the x-axis by 2. So instead of going over 1 up 1, we're going to go over 1 up 2, and then over 1 down 2. Alright, so it's going to look like this. Okay, so that middle point is still on the x-axis, but it's up 2 on the left, down 2 on the right. And you can fill up as many of those as you want, but for our domain we can do this now. Our first asymptote is at 4 times n, where n is, ask yourself what times 4 gives you 8. If 4 times an odd number gives you 8, then this would be 8. But 4 times 2 gives you 8, and that's not odd, so for cotangent it's just an integer. And your range is going to be all reals. I want to remind you how to graph this in your calculator for those of you who have the TI-84, because again it can be a little tricky for those of you that have that calculator. So I'm going to go to y equals. Remember, you don't have a button for cotangent. So the way you're going to have to do this, a tangent of pi over 4x. Don't forget the x, because if you forget the x it'll just give you a horizontal. Where is my camera? Where did it go? Well, anywho, that's what it would look like, and then you just graph it. Make sure your window setting's right. Okay, bye!